everyone, and welcome to the show. Today, I'm thrilled to have a special guest with us, Shaan Arora, the co-founder and CEO of Alia Technologies. Shaan and his co-founder Corey Gill are doing incredible work in the e-commerce space. Alia, launched in 2023, is an app that's transforming the traditional pop-ups or the traditional pop-up into something much more valuable for businesses. Alia Technologies is making waves by enhancing user engagement through innovative pop-ups that incorporate learning courses. Pretty clever idea. It's a seemingly simple tool that's adding significant values for big companies like Firebelly Tea and many Shopify brands like Masa Chips. In today's episode, we'll dive into Shaan's background and learn about what inspired him to create Alia Technologies. We'll explore the unique features of the product, which aim to enhance user engagement through a twist on traditional pop-ups. They're not just any pop-ups, they provide educational content that helps e-commerce brands acquire customers, increase conversion rates, and re-engage customers through valuable interactions. We'll also talk about some of the challenges that Shaan faced while developing Alia, the lessons he's learned along the way, and his vision for the future of the company. This conversation promises to be engaging and insightful, offering a dive into SaaS and e-commerce innovation. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy this conversation. Thank you for tuning in. I'm dedicated to providing authentic stories of founders, business people, and creators doing what they love. I appreciate your support for this podcast.
For sure. So, we were kind of working on this throughout college, me and my two co-founders, one of them, Corey, who maybe you've interacted with him before, but I'm not sure, but we launched in my last month of school. So we launched in April of 2023, the month I graduated, the month we launched the company. And then in that same month, I graduated and decided to go full time on Alia. Back then we had like 2 clients, right? It was a really small company, and we were just learning a lot. Now we have over 200 clients. And we got the majority of them over the past 4 months. So, this year's been really good for us. We've learned a lot, been able to grow a lot. And yeah, it's just been honestly an amazing journey.
Amazing, brother. What's sort of the insight that led to Alia, the product that we know today? How did was there a specific insight? Was it a different product before that kind of led in? Tell me about that. Tell us about
Yeah,
that.
definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a great question. And, so how this happened was, so my mom used to actually sell clothes in person, right? So I'm from Indian background, so my mom used to sell like saris, saris, langas, like
Sorry.
Indian, yeah. So like
Clothes.
Indian clothes. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So like she used to sell Indian clothes in person, and she was doing quite well in person, right? But then it kind of came time for her to try to move the business online. And then when she moved the business online, she faced some difficulties in essentially conversion rate. Really, conversion rate, when people came to the store, they were not really converting at a high clip. She was like, "Hey, Shaan, can you help me out?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." So I started helping her out a bit, and I was trying to understand better why her conversion rate was not good. I kind of became like her Shopify dev, started helping a lot with CRO. And I realized that she wasn't able to really get her message across as she could in person in her online brand. Get her story, educate effectively on her products when someone lands on her website. There's no way to do that. There was no app that did that. I said, okay, there's no app that does it. I'll make my own app.
What's your
And
best
that's what I'm
shot?
doing now.
Awesome, brother. As a sort of e-com store owner, what's your best shot at making an impression? Is having like your banner image. I mean, you have the pop-up that's like your email sort of comes to the store, but like you have your banners, you have your site branding. But a lot of that's like flat. It's very one-dimensional. If you have
Yeah.
budget for a photographer,
So
walk us through. So you're a developer for your mom. You're sort of troubleshooting her website, trying to
yeah,
increase
exactly.
conversion rate.
Yeah, and it was just I thought that what was lacking was her ability to tell her story online. So there was no way to do it. And I thought, hey, this is a cool time for me to build something. Right? I'm in college, computer science major. Let's see what we can do. The idea was very different. Not very different, but the idea was always kind of education, right? Like, how can we educate side business effectively? It's taken different forms, right? We used to be more of a kind of a loyalty program where you earn points for being educated. Now we've positioned ourselves more as a pop-up, right? But the common theme throughout, I think as we grow is always going to be how can you educate customers effectively? And that's kind of always been a common thread. And even though it's taking the form as a loyalty program, now it's taking the form as a pop-up, we always want to keep that North Star as, okay, like we want to educate effectively on site, and
Uh-huh.
through what medium and through what position we do want to do this will, I think, always be a changing game for us.
Uh-huh. That's awesome, bro. You mentioned on like the site, like the traditional pop-ups suck. Um, so you've kind of been thinking about pop-ups, their sort of their use. I mean, it's like almost default now. You have a site, you have a email pop, a Klaviyo pop-up, or a send lane pop-up, or some sort of a either it's site abandonment or it's just a welcome series pop-up. Like how do you, I guess, how do you know, where do the insight lead to like focusing on pop-ups as being the problem to solve?
Yes, definitely a good question. And in the beginning, we didn't really have a great positioning. We were kind of just like, hey, use us on your site and we'll see where it fits. After doing a bunch of customer interviews, I kind of asked them, what would you use if you weren't using Alia? And the answer was we would be using a traditional pop-up. So we kind of spoke to our brands and understood where they believed Alia fell in positioning. And
Mm-hmm.
essentially they all thought, hey, like if I wasn't using Alia to give a reward, I would do it through a Klaviyo or Attentive, a traditional pop-up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the insight because we're very customer driven, I'd say. We do a lot of iterations based off of customer conversations. So it was really just customer conversations. They told us alternative to you would be a traditional pop-up. We said, okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
position ourselves against that then.
How does Alia differ from traditional pop-ups? Walk us through what makes it unique.
Yeah.
Walk us through that sort of at a very beginner level.
Yeah, for sure. So, traditional pop-ups, what you do is you give your email, phone number, and get a reward for giving that information, right? And while that's good, the most important part about a lot of brands is really their story and their products, right? Like for your brand as well, right? Like you guys make very intricate products, and like if people were to learn more about it, they would have a higher conversion rate. The first interaction with your brand should really be, I'm Adam, I'm the founder, this is our products, and this is why we're different. It shouldn't just be give me your email. We don't believe that's the right flow, the right interaction to be the first interaction with your customers. It really should be more of like learn about us, understand who we are, and then you can get a reward for doing that. We believe that's a better flow. I mean, that's how it would flow in an actual real life situation, right? Like we don't walk up to somebody on the street, right, that or maybe comes into your store and be like, "Here's 15%. Give me your name or the email, right?"
That's it.
But
No.
you would tell them about yourself as a founder, you would tell them about the products, then you would kind of give them a discount. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the thought process behind Alia.
Me about sort of what are the main features of the tool? You mentioned sort of learning courses, reward system. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's essentially gamified education. Most site visitors don't go to a brand's About Us page and they don't take the time to learn about a company, but those that do have a higher conversion rate, right? So bringing the educational aspects in a gamified manner to the welcome pop-up. Right. And that's the whole idea. And the form that it's taken is kind of through like these educational flows. Right. So usually the flow is, hey, learn about me as the founder, my story, our mission, and get 5% for doing that.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Now you can either redeem your 5% or you can learn about our product offering. Why are our products different from another company's products? If
Hmm.
you complete that educational flow, you get 10%, and then you go ahead and claim that 10% and use it in
Uh,
checkout.
so
So
it's tiered stage, or it's like
yeah,
series. Yeah.
tiered stage. Yeah. So that's usually how we flow. Yeah, so it's learn about us as the company, learn about our products in a gamified way. And it really does help to drive increased conversions, which we've seen kind of across the board.
Hmm. Awesome. How does this, so in terms of customization, what can we do with the tool as a store owner? What can I do, and like how do I integrate this into Shopify or
Yeah, for sure.
e-commerce cart?
So yeah, definitely. So, like we're a Shopify app, so we exist in the App Store. So it's pretty easy to use from Shopify. We also work with like Wix and WooCommerce, so you can use us there as well as HTML embed. Typically, how it goes is because we're a younger team and we're founder led, we'll make the content for you. So it will be well woven as well. We
Yeah,
made the
I remember
content for
that.
you guys, right?
I
Yeah.
remember
So like
that. Saturday
based
afternoon.
off, yeah.
Uh,
So
love
like
that.
based off of
Saturday
yeah,
afternoon and Sunday we were live. Like same day we were live.
yeah, same, yeah, exactly. So like based
Actually, it was
off
a
of
couple
what we
days. It was a
know
couple days.
works best with our brands, we'll make content in an optimized fashion and give that to you. And then most brands will usually either go live with that content, make a few tweaks in the verbiage, make a few image tweaks, and then go live.
I
Right.
think that's so clever. You're giving the customers, you're essentially giving them that initial template to build off of, and kind of guiding them.
Exactly.
You went in, you went to our About Us page, you took that, you guys took that content and gave us, here's a working demo. All you have to do is push live. And literally what we did was we pushed live a few days later, and it was working and replaced our existing pop-up. Was there an insight that led you to believe that is essential, or is there a strategic thing around doing that, providing that service? What's your thoughts?
No, that's a great question. And so kind of we always believe that the best way to have a to do our best way to have a high close rate on calls was to show a demo. So we always were in the notion of, hey, let's say, company A signed up for a call with us. Okay, let's take half an hour. It's okay if they don't sign, but let's take half an hour. Let's understand their business. Let's make content and let's show them that we care. Let's show them that, hey, like, we made this for you and we hope that you appreciate it. And we know it's good content that you can use already. And from doing so many demo calls, they would say, oh, cool, let's sign up, but can you give me this content? Can you push it onto my end? I was like, oh, wow. So like people actually resonate a lot with the idea of somebody taking the time and making content for them. That was nothing, like that wasn't really strategic. I would say it wasn't like, oh, this is going to help us get more clients. It was just like obvious to us. Like if we take the time, we show that we care. I think people will respect that, resonate with it, and be excited for the call and be excited to get started.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, it was great. As a shop owner, showing this to the team, like, hey guys, here's the app, here's what it looks like. We could demo through it. We tested it. That's game changer. It's fully customizable in terms of content. We can upload video. We can upload photos. Tell us about the customization.
Yeah, for sure. So you can you can upload kind of whatever form of content you would like. Usually it's text plus image or text plus GIF, text plus video. I'd say are the most common forms. And yeah, that can be however you would like it, right? Different, whatever, like bold, italicized, like all of those kind of features are embedded. And then you can also kind of ask poll questions within it, allowing you to get a deeper understanding of your customers, right? So since somebody's sort of learning about your brand, and they're doing it for reward, you can engage them and ask questions that allow you to understand your business better, allow you to understand your customers better, and segment them on Klaviyo Attentive. So yeah, I'd say that's probably one of my favorite features in customizations is like, okay, you can pretty much choose whatever form of content you want to display as education. And then throughout that journey, you get answers from your customers about questions that you care about.
Cool. Can you give me some examples? What comes to mind, or what use cases have you seen, or would you recommend to consider?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Firebelly Tea actually is probably like one of our favorite brands just because it's owned by the Shopify president Harley, and it's also owned by David Siegel, who founded David's Tea. So two really
Wow.
smart people who know their stuff really well, and we've been working with them since October, so a really long time. And getting them as one of our brands has been a really cool cosign for us, especially when we're really early. But yeah, I'd say the way they utilize it is really interesting. They actually ask poll questions, and based off that poll questions, they'll make R&D decisions. So they asked a poll question, I think, about which tea is most interesting to you, or which tea do you drink the most, right? And they thought that matcha was going to get the most amount of, like I drink matcha the most, but that wasn't the case. I believe it was either black tea or green tea, right? And from that, they made an R&D decision like, hey, okay, matcha actually didn't do as well as we thought in this poll question. Let's pull back on our matcha production. Let's increase production on green tea or black tea because the data told them that's what customers care about.
Clever. So they have so if I fill out the form, they have my contact info. They know what I answered. And so when it's time for product launch, you essentially have a customer that could be in market for that product. That's super clever.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like it's helping their R&D decisions in product development, and then helping, right? So like, let's say I answered black tea, they're gonna send me an email say, hey Shaan, we know you love black tea. Here's our newest line.
What's the journey been over the last year?
Yeah, I think I never really realized is how much customer support actually matters. Like it matters so much. And that's a great hack, especially if you're founder led, to just always be there. Like if somebody emails you, respond within seconds. If they message you on Slack, respond within seconds. Respond so fast that they believe it's like an automated bot. But it's not, it's really us responding. Like we believe customer support is top priority all the time, and that's allowed us to take on new clients because our current clients are like, oh, hey, we're so happy. They respond so quickly. You should try them out. Keeping our current clients, keeping our churn super low because they're happy with how quick we respond. So I'd say my biggest learning has been customer support needs to be top of mind all the time. Either you or someone else on the team needs to be responding right away.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does delight brands who are like, wow, like I've had bad experiences with customer support before, and you're giving me an amazing experience. Like I'm not gonna leave.
Amazing.
You know?
So totally, man. Good, there for support, there if there's a problem.
Yeah.
You're behind them, and that's a huge competitive advantage, or it's a great culture, and sort of something that's key. I mean, we're in the textiles business and e-commerce,
Yeah.
and you have to having really great service makes the difference. Everyone has there's a lot
100%.
of product out there. There's a lot of competing sort of priorities that you have to be. I think that's a great. What's been the most challenging for you building this company? What side of the business are you on? Are you you have a technical background? You studied computer science. Today, sort of like building the company. What sort of where are you focused, and what have been some of yours or your team's learnings along the way?
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think that so I guess for context here, so yeah, I'm a CEO and I do all sales. So we've kind of switched around a bit, and our CTO has been doing engineering since the beginning, and then we have a COO, Corey. Corey and I used to both do sales calls and both do support and customer success. Now I've taken on all of sales, and Corey's taken on all of customer success, support, managing chat, stuff like that. We think it's a better flow. One of us can get extremely good at doing sales. One of us can get extremely good at customer support, which will just lead us to have better benefits down the line. And yeah, that's kind of how we split up our days now is I take all the sales calls, which I like taking sales calls. Like it's an exciting time, and I think that if you can just like make them feel comfortable on the call, it's just a better experience. So I just try to be like pretty, I don't know, like just pretty friendly and just express to them that like if they don't want to use it, there's no pressure at all. I'm just like trying to tell them about what we do. So I'd say the biggest challenge though has been, I think pricing is just always difficult, right? Like understanding how much should I charge for this service? What do people find it to be worth? And am I overcharging, undercharging? Like it's always a balancing act. For us,
Any
sorry,
science to that?
$50.
Is there
Yeah,
a math calculation? I mean, what part of it's math? What part of it's just like feeling what's right for the market? Like pricing something, like how do you make that sort of decision,
yeah,
as in any product category, or especially in software as a service, where I'm not an expert, but yeah, how do you think about that?
yeah. Pricing is always hard. It's just like, you can either price pretty high and not take on those smaller brands who are not able to like afford the fees that we would like to charge bigger brands, right? And take on less brands, make more money per brand. That's one strategy. Or like Judge Me, for example, they have really low tiers. They have hundreds of thousands of brands, and that's another way to structure the company, right? So it's like, which way
Like a
do you want to
freemium
eat?
model. Yeah, it's kind of like a
Yeah,
freemium to scale up. Yeah.
yeah, and we've played around with both models. I think the former model works better for us, where a little bit more premium price, take on maybe less brands, but really nice brands that are high quality and are okay with the price, right? Like I think that's where we want to play,
Yep.
and I think it's interesting to see which SaaS companies want to play on the hundreds of thousands of brands versus thousands of brands. Both can get you to the same revenue number. It's just through which way do you want to do it?
Yep. Yeah. Well said. It's sort of hitting that right sweet spot of finding customers where you can add the most value. Um, as a, I guess as a startup, you want to hit the company at a relatively at a relatively strong cadence. Coming back to features, explain the question that comes up is this Klaviyo. or you have a standard pop-up, a regular pop-up. How do you guys sort of displace the standard pop-up in terms of like sign up metrics? It is a different user experience. And so how do you think about that as a brand, like differentiating the user experience? Am I losing customers am I losing signups by potentially taking people for this less familiar startup flow? How do you balance that conversation of
Yeah, it's
familiar,
definitely a good question.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a good question. And I'd say in terms of losing signups, we kind of have a feature where you ask for sign up first and then they go through the educational flow. For brands who are more concerned about the friction, we have that flow available. But I'd say our default is, yeah, as you mentioned, the learning, and then you sign up, and then you claim reward and make a purchase. Right? And the real value add here is how many how many driven orders were you getting with your previous pop-up compared to how many you're getting with Alia now? And that's really our value add, right? We've seen across, so we have about over 200, like over 200 brands now. We've seen pretty much across the board that we actually, almost every single instance, so almost 200, we increase the amount of orders that they have from their previous pop-up by 2x.
So we're not talking
And
about cart abandonment or retargeting or retention. You're saying actual orders coming in from their first visit or
yeah,
from the pop-up.
yeah, exactly. Pop-up orders driven is our, let's say, our best stat. And if you can increase the amount of first-time site visitors that make a purchase on the same session, that's really powerful. It's pretty magical too, right? Because they're making a purchase right away, you have their contact, and now you get them in a super great nurture flow after that. Whereas before it's, oh, they've signed up, they might not make a purchase, and a nurture flow might be okay because they didn't actually purchase. But with us, we really increase first-time purchases. So obviously revenue right there, and then long-term revenue when you nurture them as a purchase customer versus a not purchase customer.
Cool, man. Moving on the offense. And so are you able to still interact with Klaviyo? How do you work with or Klaviyo, SendLane, or MailChimp? Like, how do you interact with like the traditional email or the email providers?
Yeah, so we still integrate with all the traditional email providers, as you mentioned. And yeah, like they have their own traditional pop-ups that they have where they put an email and get a reward for that. I would say those players are probably less focused on making their pop-up better and more focused on figuring out their email flows, journeys, subscriber segmentation. So yeah, we play pretty well with all the tools, and I'd say like there's pretty good synergy between us and all those, the EMS you mentioned. And yeah, we integrate with the major ones and probably will integrate with all of them as we grow as a company too.
Awesome. Cool. While we're on the call, I was wondering, just kind of came to mind, doing like a quick screen share to record just maybe Fireability walking through. Can you do like a quick demo on the fly?
Yeah, for sure. Great. Let's do it. So yeah, we're Alia and we exist on Fireability in the bottom right where it says unlock 10% off. So, as a site visitor, I'll click on this and I'll start the educational flow, right? So it says learn and earn, get 5%, 7%, and then 10%. So let's start with get 5%, right? So I learned about the origin story. I learned about David and Harley, how they started the company, and kind of how they do it as well, right? And as I go through this flow, I learned that they don't use any flavorings in their tea, which is super cool. And I'm then asked, what's my story? My story is that I'm new and curious about tea. Okay, cool. So now I've got 5% off for doing that. I can choose to keep going for 7% off or claim for 5% off now. 85% of site visitors actually go through all 3 lessons. Let's just say for this example though,
85.
I want to claim
That's
my
awesome.
Yeah. So people who start a journey just go through the whole thing we've seen, which is really interesting too. And let's say I want to put in my info here. I want to get my 5%. Cool. So 5%, you see, we actually displayed a discount code on site, which is not how most pop-ups do it. They actually email it to you. We know that if you display it on site, you have a higher conversion rate. So we display on site, and we have a timer as well on site, and this timer actually will make this discount disappear. So yeah, this is us increasing the urgency and kind of really increasing those first-time purchases by driving the discount on site and timer on site.
Beautiful, seamless, very smooth experience. It's not an annoying pop-up. It's a little more from a design perspective, more elegant, less intrusive. Really
Yeah,
man. Thank you so much for that quick
Totally.
sort of challenges? What sort of developing the tool, like in terms of getting the product to where it is? How much time did you spend in development? And sort of how do you guys think about, what are some of the technical things you guys are focusing on, or features you're thinking about?
I think we have a CTO who does all the engineering, so he's been amazing for us. He's a massive part of our team. He's a co-founder, so we rely on him for all the engineering, and he absolutely crushes it for us. So we're really happy, right? And in terms of and what we're focusing on for the rest of the year, it's going to be returning customer flows. Right now we exist as a pop-up, which is great, but we believe there's more to customer education than just first-time site visitors. Let's say you have a Klaviyo segment and the segment's called churn. So users who have churned, right? And then in the churn segment, we'll know if they come as churn back to the site, and they'll be shown an Alia flow and get a discount for that. So
Context specific.
yeah, so context specific, right? And focusing on returning site visitors, what do we do with that? And how do they engage with Alia is going to be our biggest thing for the rest of the year. We know it works super well as a pop-up. Some sites don't want to replace their pop-up, but they do want to have Alia for returning customer flows. So that's what we're going to be focusing now. And that's going to be probably 2 or 3 month long R&D process for us. We're not just going to push it out and send it and hope it. We're going to be very iterative here, very focused on how exactly we're going to do this, and then maybe change positioning and see how customer education can work for returning site visitors.
Yep, that is great. Yeah, I think in terms of context, I want to ask you about context specific. So today, are we able to, for specific landing pages, set, hey, you've come to a specific category in the store? Can I set that customization? If I'm a furniture store, you're in now bedding. You're in the rug department. Can we set landing page specific pop-ups outside
Yes,
just furniture? Yep.
yeah, you can do that now for new site visitors. So like, let's say you place an ad and I go to like some specific like furniture page from the ad, I'll be shown a different Alia flow. Even as of now, you can do this. I'll be shown a different Alia flow than if I were on the homepage.
Awesome. I love that. Custom rugs is a big department for us. So that's one of the next things that we're thinking about, is sort of like a educational series about custom rugs, how to size them, the things to look out for when ordering a custom rug, etc. So that is super cool. It's almost like a shopping assistant. It could be, do you ever think about it being like a shopping assistant? And with that, like, could you include like machine learning or like a chatbot kind of tool, AI tool to help guide the customer journey? Kind of be more
Yeah,
like
that's a good question.
Yeah.
And like the idea of a tour, like a website tour guide, right? Like when someone lands on a website, they don't really know where to go. It might be kind of confusing. So it's like a website tour guide. We've thought about that before, and I think there is legs for that. I think it's interesting. There's just, there's there's a lot of things that we can do, and it's just like, how do we think about which is the most impactful? But I think that's the idea about being like a tour guide is really interesting.
Yep. Yeah, you said it. As a startup, where to focus. Focus is key.
Yeah.
In terms of providing a great product. You want a great service, sort of really being focused on one part of the problem. And I think you guys have it. From my perspective as a shop owner, you guys are crushing it.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Are there any things that I can help you out with, man? Is there anything that comes to your mind? Anything else in terms of how can I help you along your journey?
I mean, this is great. Like being able to chat with you and just sit down and see everything, and it's great. I would say the way you could probably help us is, I think I mentioned this on LinkedIn, like any content you can make for Alia, like just on your page, like, hey, like I've been using Alia and it's been cool for me. I think that like having like UGC for brands making UGC regarding our software is an interesting play for us. So I'd say that could be helpful. And I'm not sure where you plan to do this podcast, but maybe if that's
it's cool that you are rethinking the pop-up. It sounds like such a simple thing, but for e-commerce stores, it's a big source of revenue, and you know this way better than me. But I love what you guys are doing, and you know, as you said, traditional pop-ups kind of suck.
Yeah,
I'm just excited to see
100%.
someone doing this, and thank you for doing this call. That you're kind of watching out product releases or anything that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, that's like YouTube and Shopify just did a collaboration. You know, I'm not sure you saw that too. So,
Yep.
I'd be curious to see what happens there. I'm not really sure how it's gonna work. I'm curious to see.
That's the integrated. Is it like integrated shopping more into YouTube?
Yeah.
I caught parts of that. I didn't see. I caught like the few minute version, shortened version of that. But I think product max ads. They're trying to include more ads. Allow for Shopify stores to add. Was that the update you're talking about, or was there something else?
Yeah, no, it's that one. It's just like how YouTube is doing it. But they have a more official partnership now between Shopify and YouTube. So I'm just be curious to see how that plays out for the rest of the year.
It's a pleasure getting to know you and the product that you guys are building. Kudos to you, congratulations, and happy customer here. And